Consider the Great Pyramids, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world and the only one still standing today. Did you know that the pyramids of Giza weren't the only ones around, nor were they the first? Before them, there were the pretty good pyramids, but they didn't quite catch on. Let's take a step back in time. In ancient Egypt, it was believed that kings were chosen by the gods to serve as their intermediaries on earth, and that they themselves would become gods in the afterlife. To ensure this transition, they built pyramid complexes, which included not just the pyramid itself, but also a palace and temples. Inside the pyramid, where the king was buried, they placed everything he might need, such as furniture, food, and golden vessels. In fact, the very first pyramid was built 80 years before the Great Pyramid of Giza made its debut. In total, around 100 pyramids were constructed, although some were left unfinished due to the long construction process or because some pharaohs didn't live long enough to see them completed. Now, let's talk about the construction process itself. The largest of the pyramids of Giza stands as tall as a 40-story building. So how on earth did they manage to construct such a massive structure 5,000 years ago, long before machines or modern equipment existed? Well, let's find out. Pharaoh Khufu came to power around 2575 BC, and his architects began the construction of the oldest and largest of the Giza pyramids. It was estimated that over 2 million limestone blocks would be needed, with each block weighing about 2.5 tons, the weight of a rhinoceros. The architect aimed to complete the construction in 20 years. To achieve this, one stone needed to be transported and placed every 4 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, except on leap years. Clearly, a large workforce was necessary to make this happen. Many believe that enslaved people built the pyramids, but in reality, workers came from all over Egypt to contribute to the project, totaling around 25,000 people. These Egyptians took on various roles, from manual labor and tool-making to administrative work. They worked about 10 hours a day, were well-fed, and housed in a temporary town nearby. The builders were a highly organized community led by a strong leader. The pyramids were designed to align with the cardinal points, symbolizing the rays of the sun, even though compasses didn't exist back then. The ancient Egyptians precisely determined directions using constellations. The construction site was organized on the western banks of the Nile River, symbolizing the place where the sun sets and life ends. The pyramids of Giza are not only monumental feats of ancient engineering, but also present an important astronomical alignment that reveals deep aspects of Egyptian cosmology. Modern studies suggest that the pyramids were carefully positioned to align with certain stars, especially those in the Orion constellation. In ancient Egypt, Orion was seen as the celestial manifestation of the god Osiris, the ruler of the underworld and the afterlife. The association between Orion and Osiris reinforced the belief that when the pharaohs died, they didn't just join the gods, but literally ascended into the sky to live eternally among the stars. This precise astronomical alignment suggests that the ancient Egyptians viewed the pyramids not just as physical tombs, but also as spiritual portals, ensuring that the pharaohs could navigate the heavens after death. Furthermore, the alignment with the cardinal points, believed to be related to the path of the sun, symbolized the pharaoh's journey through the cycle of death and rebirth. Much like the sun sets and rises again each day, this deep connection between architecture, religion, and astronomy shows how much the Egyptians intertwined the cosmos with their rituals and beliefs about the afterlife, perpetuating the legacy of the pharaohs on a divine and eternal level. The second pyramid of Giza was built for Khufu's son, Pharaoh Khafre. It's slightly smaller but houses the famous noseless statue of the Sphinx. Originally it had a nose, but what happened to it remains a mystery. Sphinxes, with the bodies of lions and human heads, were considered guardians of important areas. This famous sphinx, with the head of Pharaoh Khafra, guarded his pyramid, facing the rising sun. The Sphinx is one of the largest and oldest statues in the world, and not only did it originally have a nose, but it was also painted. Scientists have found traces of red on its face, indicating that it was likely red, with remnants of yellow and blue on its body. Until around 1800, the Sphinx was buried up to its shoulders until an adventurer with a team of 160 men excavated it. But let's return to the construction. The workers needed stone blocks, which were sourced from two main places. One source was near the construction site, but the yellowish limestone was only suitable for the pyramid's interior. The limestone blocks for the exterior were transported from a distance of 8 miles on long sleds, each weighing 30 tons. Surprisingly, pulling them wasn't as difficult as one might imagine because sand mixed with water became quite slippery, allowing 10 people to move a sled, even with such a heavy stone on it. Interestingly, cutting a limestone block wasn't the biggest challenge. On the ground, it was soft and could be split relatively easily, but hardened when exposed to air. Shaping the blocks was crucial, because small inaccuracies could cause the pyramid to collapse. How exactly these blocks were placed is still a mystery. Archaeologists have found traces of a ramp system dating back to the pyramid building period, suggesting that the Egyptians designed a unique ramp system to move and lift these enormous stones. The most common opinion is that there were multiple ramps around the pyramid, with a central ramp and side stairs built on top of the pyramid blocks themselves. The ramp grew as the pyramid rose, and people likely climbed the stairs, pulling the blocks on wooden sleds. However, other theories suggest that the ramps were inside the pyramid itself. Perhaps we will never know for sure, and this will remain a mystery. The technology used in the construction of Egypt's pyramids continues to fascinate researchers and archaeologists worldwide. Beyond traditional techniques like using ramps and sleds to move stone blocks, some recent theories suggest that the Egyptians might have developed a primitive form of concrete to help build these massive structures. According to this hypothesis, workers crushed limestone and mixed it with water to create a material resembling modern concrete. This could explain the precision with which the stones were shaped and fitted into the pyramids, as well as their incredible durability over millennia. This theory of primitive concrete suggests that, contrary to previous beliefs, pyramid construction might have involved a combination of traditional techniques and advanced technological innovations for the time. The possible use of Egyptian concrete would have allowed the blocks to be molded on site rather than being solely cut and transported from distant quarries, saving both time and effort. While this hypothesis is still under debate, it sheds new light on the ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians, who may have pioneered construction techniques that were only rediscovered thousands of years later. The outer limestone of the pyramids was polished with sand and stone until it gleamed, and at the top there was a capstone made of gold and silver that sparkled over Egypt like a second sun. That's how it looked 5,000 years ago. Now, let's talk about the interior. Surprisingly, there is little space inside the pyramid, which is mostly solid stone. Upon entering, we find two stairways, one that descends and another that ascends, leading to the inner chambers. There are 3 of them inside, and the reason for this is that throughout the construction, a burial chamber needed to be ready at any moment, in case a pharaoh died before the pyramid was completed. Thus, separate chambers were built as construction progressed, culminating in the main one, known as the King's Chamber. It is the largest room at the heart of the pyramid, accessed via a grand corridor. It was likely used as a type of elevator to move granite for building the interior. Granite was also used to create 5 levels of support beams, ensuring that the pyramid wouldn't collapse, a feat proven by the structure standing strong for centuries. Unfortunately, none of these chambers have hieroglyphs on the walls. To see inscriptions, you would have to visit decorated tombs near the pyramids, where ancient Egyptian culture and daily life are depicted in art and writing. These texts allow researchers to study their language and grammar. The treasures that once filled the pyramids were looted long ago, and many secret tunnels and passages remain undiscovered to this day. Despite the efforts of scientists who have sent small, camera-equipped robots inside the pyramids for many years, there is still much we don't know about them. Currently, attempts are being made to use X-rays to scan the pyramids from the outside without having to enter. In doing so, the ancient Egyptians have created a mystery that no one has been able to solve in 5,000 years.